Yeah, we're back. We're back after a small hiatus. And Dr. Gruesome, what did you do during this hiatus?
I came to see you, Chuck.
You did. And you came to pick up your copy of the Morbid DVD, which is out now for anybody who might want to listen to this that is over the age of 18.
It is very excited.
Very excited. What's it like, Dr. Gruesome, now to be in a store and see the movie there? Although you haven't seen that yet, have you?
I have not, although there are many people that have seen the movie already, and of course the emails are coming, and everyone is starstruck wanting me autographs,
Oh,
and
yes.
it's a wonderful thing.
I suspect at some point or another the hate mail will probably start coming my direction as well, but you never know. You never know. We do have one star review on the Amazon right now. Somebody said you shouldn't let teens make movies. Well, the joke's on you, buddy. I was 29 when we filmed the majority of that film. The Connery gets the last laugh. But one thing, Dr. Gruesome, our book problems are about to come to an end, buddy, because we're in the midst of doing a trade that will land us a stack of original Goosebump books. Not these reprints that we've been doing that we appreciate the Scholastic gives us, but we do want the real deal, and the real deal is heading our way. All that's got to happen is you got to hop up out of your coffin on Tuesday morning, strap on to the back of whatever it is you ride, a broom or whatever it is, head on down to the local post office and give old Grandpa Fester the postage to mail the trade option.
We still work with the Pony Express and the coaches here.
Oh, the Headless Horseman ride the coach?
Yes.
We'll see how many references to old classic horror and Gothic. There it is. Gothic folklore. I have to act stupid sometimes to get my words in, but nonetheless, we got a whole stack of books coming. I believe there's an original copy of the book we used from our last podcast, The Ghost Next Door, which I did mention that I tried to watch that Goosebumps episode and it was terrible. I haven't tried to watch a single Goosebumps TV show episode since.
So the TVs are not doing the books justice.
No, not in that case. Now, I've not done anything else to compare, which I don't know. This one here that we're going to cover today, you could pretty much do whatever and compare because it's one of those Give Yourself Goosebumps books. But before we get to that, I will say that the one I did see was not up to snuff, up to par with what the book was. Not that the book was a 5-star classic or anything, but the book was pretty interesting, and the short just did not do it very good justice. Dr. Goose, what was probably the first Goosebump book you ever read? I think they do read these up in Bulgaria or Transylvania or Norwegia or wherever you're.
It's a Romania.
There it is, yes.
But it's difficult to remember. But I've always been interested in the werewolf, and I'm thinking it had I cannot remember the exact title, but I'm believing it was something with werewolf.
Well, there's a million different ones, and there is a werewolf one. I think I know the one you're talking about. Just can't remember what the name of it is right now.
Exactly. It's very difficult.
The first one I ever read was The Haunted Mask. That one still sticks out. Yeah, it's a chick gets a mask and then she can't get it off. Basically, there is a Goosebumps episode for that one as well, but I've not watched it. Maybe I will. I haven't wanted to spoil it because I know I will be going back at some point and getting the Haunted Mask and doing a podcast over it, which, we're getting pretty good feedback on this show. People seem to like it. I wonder if one of these days we could get old R.L. Stine himself on here.
Wow, that would be something.
Would be nice, I bet he ain't above it. Think maybe he'd give us free books.
Well, does he have free reign to give free books, or does he?
He's R.L. Stine, buddy.
Well,
with Ronald McDonald.
And you made the movie, but that doesn't mean you give copies away for free.
Well, I only got a box of 30 though. I'm not R.L. Stine yet. I wonder if Quentin Tarantino probably has a box of 1,000 of his movies.
Well,
so R.L. Stine's like up at the top of the list for Arthurs, I would think. But now, even though this is not the Zombies Don't podcast, this is the Goosebumps podcast, Chuck's Untitled Goosebumps podcast featuring Dr. Groosome. I do feel that since we may not be doing a Zombies Don't podcast for a few weeks, that we should probably mention Wes Craven died.
It is very sad.
Very sad. The man had brain cancer. I didn't know anything was wrong with him. I'm pretty bummed by this because, he one of my favorites, and I really like all the stuff that he done more or less. There's a few things I didn't care for, but more of the times than not, it was more hit than miss with Wes Craven. And I think I, like pretty much everybody that was a kid in the 80s, loved Freddy Krueger. You probably lived next door to Freddy Krueger.
I did. Nightmare on Elm Street is 2 blocks down.
Oh, yeah. Well, every place has an Elm Street. And apparently, a couple of weeks ago, we learned that every place must have a Clown Street as well.
Exactly.
Yes, so pretty bummed about Wes Craven, and in his honor, I'm trying to go back and get all of his movies that I did not already have. So I do need to get. I got Scream 4. I don't know if I want his non-horror film, but there's just a few I need. I need to get The Serpent and the Rainbow. Scream Factory's coming out with that, and my Soda Take. I don't have that one.
Don't believe I have it either.
Oh, yes, and I'm sure you have, like, The Hills Have Eyes and all those good ones?
Yes.
Yes, yes. So, kids, if you, for some reason, are a kid and you listen to this podcast for the Goosebump stuff and you like horror movies, give Wes Craven a chance, if allowed, because that's cool stuff. And take it from me, if you're a youngin' getting into horror movies, Wes Craven's a good way to go. Now, it's time for that book. You know what book we're doing this week, Dr. Groosome?
What book is this, Chuck?
Please Don't Feed the Vampire.
Yes, that it could get messy.
I'm sure you have a lot of experience with this, considering where you're from.
Well, they don't eat the same things that we do, Chuck.
Mm-hmm. Some might say you're a vampire yourself, Dr. Groosome.
Well, there is some resemblance. I am forever young, and
like Rod Stewart, right?
Exactly, and for some reason I'm followed by women. I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, well, I've never seen you out of daytime in a long time, to be completely honest with you. But please don't feed the vampire was the 15th book in the Give Yourself Goosebumps game book series. This is one of those choose your own path books, Dr. Groosome.
Well, those are very nice.
Came out in March 1997, 137 pages long, but this, of course, is the re-release from April 28th of this year, 2015, and it's 144 pages, so they managed to squeeze a few extra things in there somewhere. And the back of the book goes like this. You buy something called Vampire in a Can. At first you think it's just goofy vampire costume with a cape, plastic fangs, and a tattoo of teeth marks. But then you find a packet at the bottom that's labeled, Danger, Keep Out. If you try to open the pack with your teeth, it rips in your mouth. Uh-oh. Looks like you've been transformed into a vampire, and you're really thirsty. If you decide not to open the packet, your dog sinks its teeth into it, and now your cute little poodle has become a ferocious vampire dog. Can you save your pooch before it bites off more than it can chew? The choice is yours in this scary Goosebumps adventure that's packed with over 20 spooky endings. Does that make you want to get out and read that, Dr. Bruce?
It does sound very enticing.
They should start paying me to do promotional material.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so I busted open this book, and like you said, it's one of those where you choose your own path, and you get like 2 or 3 pages in, and you don't get far into this one when it's already asking you to make a choice. So, and depending on your choice, it can be a really short story, depending on what you do. And I find that neat because usually when you're reading a Goosebumps book, they're pretty long. Like they're usually a couple hours read at least. If you made the wrong choice with this, you could end the story in 10 minutes. So the first time I went through it, I tried to be a good guy, I guess. You know, in the book, you're you. So it refers to you as just you. So you automatically put yourself in there. Your friend's name is Gabe. So that's your other characters are named, but you're yourself. The first time I did it, I tried to do the right thing. I didn't want to bite no one, which it kind of forces you to try to bite your friend early on. Like it says, do you want to bite him? Do you not want to bite him? If you don't want to bite him, it makes you bite him anyway, or at least try to bite him. Uh, I tried to go straight forward with it. I decided maybe it's not the good idea to go see the guy with the weird eye that gave me the costume or sold me the costume. I go to my room. I told my parents, my dad, the dentist. I went to do what he wanted to do, and it ended badly, Dr. Gruesome. The first time I read this book, it ended in about 10 minutes.
Really?
Yes, so you may want to mix up your choices a little bit, or the book will be ending pretty quick. And if you don't make the right choices, there is a body count. Now, how many Goosebump books have you ever read with a body count?
Not very many.
Nothing says age 4 through 7 like a body count, Dr. Gruesome. But now, of course, the thing about it is I went through it a few times, and like it says on the back of it, if you bite it yourself, the pack, you turn into the vampire. If you don't, the dog turns into the vampire. And since every time there's been a book of this, it features a vampire poodle on the front, I think they're more keen to you going with the path of your dog getting it than with you getting it. Nonetheless, the second time I decided to read the book, I decided to go find the guy with the weird eye, sold me stuff. I ended up calling a number on the can, and along with Gabe, we head towards a place in town to help find out, what's going on with the vampire thing. It's filled with vampires, so that was a pretty cool option there. There's a lot of options in general. This time it was a bit longer, and I will say, by the end of it, Dr. Gruesome, the second time I went through there dealing with the vampires and going and seeing the guy with the weird eye, it was a pretty long read that time, and nobody died at the end. So that was a good option, but you could still go that way and make a few other choices and get a million other things. Like I said, there's 20 different, possible endings to the book. Keep in mind that your different choices brings different characters into the book that you won't see unless you do certain paths.
Did you choose the path where your dog is the vampire?
No, I never went with that because I think for me I wanted to do a little something less typical. So every time I went through it 2 or 3 times. Every time I picked my option, although the dog option I'm sure is fun as well. But I guess it'd probably be really hard to go back and see every ending, in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
You'd probably have to read this book for 2 or 3 days probably to get the total experience of the book and do every little option. I think this is a book best to kind of do once or twice and then put it back and then go back a few months later and try it again. Because It's not that interesting of a story to want to go and do it 40 times at one time. But nonetheless, like I said, there's 20 different ways it could go. There's a thing you can do that causes it to end quick. Some can drag it out a bit, but you can get a lot of use out of the book to keep going back and trying everything just to see what different ending you get. There are some funny endings to it. There's really some funny endings. There's some goofy endings. And then, like I said, there's some pretty cryptic little bad ones as well where people can end up getting killed, which is something I don't know. There was the Clown Street Goosebumps book we did a few weeks back. Maybe had a body count. I don't want to spoil that book still because there's probably people who still ain't read it, but I don't think I ever was aware that people died in Goosebumps books, but apparently they can and they do. Now it's not, they don't go down in graphic details or nothing, but it is funny to know that you can read a children's book and still have people dying in the book. Makes me kind of want to read the Fear Street books because there might have been more of a body count on those.
It makes me wonder if anyone dies on the TV show or the new movie that's about to release.
Yeah, maybe we'll suffer through that movie when it comes out. Maybe. I don't like Jack Black.
Agreed.
Oh, so you've come around to my side of things. I thought you was a fan of that old Chevy thing.
No. He ruined music with School of Rock.
Uh-oh. Dr. Groosome going to preach, ladies and gentlemen. Going to preach on that soapbox tonight.
Well, and his pick of Destiny was a bit sacrilegious.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, not the fan.
Yeah. Well, I will say this much about Please Don't Feed the Vampire. With all the twists and turns there is in the story, to get a happy ending is probably quite an accomplishment. So, pat yourselves on the back if you do get one of those. And I will say this much: the Give Yourself Goosebumps books, when I was a kid, I think I liked them a lot better than I do now as a 32-year-old man. I don't think Give Yourself Goosebumps quite sets as well with me now as it did. I think I like the more straightforward Goosebumps stories now a lot more than the Give Yourself Goosebumps, because these here, they're more gimmick than good storytelling, I think. And some pages only have like a block of text on them, if that, and it tells you to do something else. And so, Dr. Gruesome, I'm not saying it's a bad book. I'm just saying that if you're a kid, you're probably going to enjoy it more.
Understand?
So I do have some facts for this book, by the way. There are multiple prints of the book, and most of them make a typo of referring to Fifi as a male, when in fact Fifi the poodle is a girl. By the way, did you notice the back of this book also made that same error and referred to Fifi as being a boy when it is a girl?
Uh-huh. Did
And
not.
speaking of Fifi, Fifi will make a cameo appearance in the 2015 Goosebumps movie, as shown on Facebook with the Monster Group. Here she has a bow on her head and she has white fur instead of black fur. So if you want to go stomach Jack Black, you get to stomach the dog as well. Which, like I said, the dog seems to be like the key part of this story. But most of the options I took really hardly referenced the dog at all. Although maybe I should just go back and let the dog get the doggone vampire in a can stuff to see what happens. That might be an option, Dr. Cruz.
Yeah, I'm interested in the vampire dog. Now, Chuck, you do know. Now, I'm telling you. So in case it ever happens, if you ever so happens to get bit by a vampire, you're not actually a vampire until you feed.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you can get the blood of the vampire that turned you, you can be reverted into your human state.
Oh, yeah.
So, I'm not sure if the book and the person in the book, which would be yourself,
Yes.
or the dog, gets turned back into their original state or not. But it is possible.
Oh,
Just for future.
there's ways that the book you have to take a choice and then take a big risk on if that choice is going to work or not, on if the method it says to get back to a vampire is going, or to get back to a human form from a vampire, works or not.
Aha.
Aha.
Interesting.
Very, very interesting.
Mm.
But no, like I said, did you know, if your girlfriend just so happens to be bit by a vampire, that the best thing to do is to go to your local broadcasting network and find your local horror host who happens to be a vampire slayer, and see if he can help you fight the evil vampire that lives next door to you and turn her back into a human?
Huh. I will write that down in my book.
It'll be a real interesting night for you. You know, it may be a fright of a night for you if you so do choose to do such things. But so that's Please Don't Feed the Vampire. Mild recommendation for me. It's not one of my favorite ones. It's got some moments to it, but I don't think I hold it up in there with such high regard as I did our other books we've read so far. Which, if we're keeping a meter of the ones we've done so far, Nightmare on Clown Street was pretty good. I would probably say the first one we ever did was probably the best one, which for some reason I've drawn a blank on what the first book was we did was. It wasn't The Ghost Next Door. It was the one though about the haunted house. Oh well. It's 12 a.m., ladies and gentlemen.
And everyone makes a mistake.
Yes. So nonetheless, that's it for this week. Next week we do have another original Goosebumps, but it's a reprint. Wah, wah, wah. Not that it really matters, I guess. But who knows? If we may have to take a week off. But if all goes well and Dr. Groosome makes it to the post office and gets things a rolling, we will have a stack of books to pick from the next time around. Does that make you so excited, Dr. Groosome?
Yeah, it does. And that's all depends on if Donald, who's my coachman, if he makes it past the wolves and the bats, and we have a lot of animal activity on the way to our mailing facility.
But do you have paranormal activity?
No, there's no paranormal activity. That's all pretty much normal around here.
Oh yes, it's pretty. There's a lot of things that goes bump in the night around where I live too. Let me tell you, a lot of
Only
times it might be the Hispanic fellas next door, but nonetheless,
only
ladies
thing
and gentlemen.
going bump around here is me when I get the morning munchies.
Oh yeah, fresh
Uh,
out the coffin, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So as we wrap up the show this week for Chuck's Untitled Goosebumps podcast featuring Dr. Gruesome, is there any words of wisdom or lifetime coaching methods that you would like to tell the young kids that's possibly listening to this show right now?
Don't smoke a cigarette.
And only you can help prevent forest fires, am I right?
That's right.